Well, hello dear viewers, this is Wolf and welcome to Level Up Reviews. Today we shall review an awesome game, Ultima 7 Part 1, The Black Gate. Let's jam! Well, Ultima 7 The Black Gate. This is an interesting one. It started a completely new trilogy and pushed Origin into a new direction. Origin was still struggling with monetary and distribution issues. Plans to save money on Ultima Worlds of Adventure games did not really work, as it took far more time to develop those games. It was very complicated to take out Ultima 6 from the engine and put new games in there. You see, the problem was that most stores preferred larger publishing companies. When somebody like Origin released only 4 to 5 games yearly, EA or Electronic Arts released 10 games yearly. So it was easier to stack the shelves with their games, rather than dealing with smaller companies. Origin tried to solve this problem by creating a consortium of smaller companies. But unfortunately for them, it didn't work. As usual, most companies had their own interests. So, unfortunately, Origin had to start negotiation with Electronic Arts. I say unfortunately because I think this is the downfall of Origin systems. In fact, Richard Garriott himself could not stand EA. If you will pay attention to Ultima 7, you will find many Easter eggs taking shots at EA. For example, EA logos at that time are represented within the 3 evil generators, and 2 of the villains, Elizabeth and Abraham, stand for EA as well. Richard had to confess this before they made any signing, and I don't know if EA executives had a sense of humor about this, or they just wanted to get the game out as quick as possible. They just told them not to change anything and leave it in, and release the game the way it was. So now Electronic Arts owned Origin. Of course, they got a lot of positives from this deal as well. For example, Origin now had a building twice the size of the previous building they used, and their number of the staff also doubled. So you would imagine they would work faster and make new games. Although by this time Ultima 7 was done. So I'll talk about this later. Blackgate came out on April 16, 1992 on DOS, and later in November 18, 1994, it was re-released on Super Nintendo Entertainment Systems. But it's a very different game, really not recommended. Quite frankly, I do not like it. This time around, Richard did not plan for just one game, but for an entire trilogy. A new villain was created, named Guardian, who feels like antagonist for Origin rather than Avatar. World Destroyer against company whose slogan is "We create worlds"? Maybe another reference to EA. I don't know. The story of the game was inspired by none other thing than Scientology, if you could imagine that. Bit weird, but when you look at the Fellowship, a new religious cult in Britannia, it's easy to see. Their leader, Batlin, was inspired by L. Ron Hubbard. Richard saw some sort of a propaganda piece about him, which showed him as a great man, not at all a cult leader or a manipulator. Fellowship is really interesting, and Batlin really does fit this type of a stereotype of a cult leader. It's very interesting to see the Book of Fellowship as well, where Batlin writes about 8 virtues. He says that 8 virtues are too hard to follow and too high of a standard for any normal human being in Britannia to truly embrace. So they need new philosophy, to invent new truths, as to say. It's almost like Batlin was taking some sort of lessons from the Screwtape Letters. 3 principles of fellowship are unity, trust, and worthiness, which could be virtues or vices in fact, which I never thought they would be vices until I read this in the book of Richard Garriott. Explore, create. Unity in Fellowship's case is either you're with us or against us. Trust, or you shall obey everything without questioning. And worthiness, to prove that you're worthy at all costs, no matter what's the price you're gonna pay. Basically, Butlin and the Fellowship are ideal antagonists for the Avatar and the 8 Virtues. Ultima 7 got a pretty good reception from the critics. It became number 10 on the PC Gamer's list of top 50 games of all time, and was nominated as Best Game of 1992 by Computer Gaming magazine, only to lose to Ultima Underworld, Stygian Abyss. I don't see this one, but whatever you like. I also love the cover of this game. It's just right for this game. But do not make a mistake, Ultima 7 is quite colorful game. Artist Jeff D found a great balance between dreary and colorful. And, of course, what is Ultima without its music? Composers are usual suspects here: Dana Carl Glover, Herman Miller, and Kirk Winterwood. Although, I do have some problems with this. Music keeps cutting out and glitching throughout the game. At least what I played, and I even used the patch. Although I cannot really put the blame on the composers here, and not even on the programmers. The game is pretty old and it has some trouble running, even if you're using DOSBox. Ultima 7 is a really fun game, and quite frankly, its mechanics do a lot of stuff much better than even modern day RPGs. For example, baking bread and forging swords, and you will have a lot of fun even outside of the missions, because world is completely interactive. But one thing I really do not like is conversation with the merchants. For some reason you have to go through a lot of the dialogue before you actually get to buying or selling. In this sense, I would say Ultima 6 was completely superior to this game. You also get a lot of side quests, first time I think in Ultima. I mean, you had sort of a side quest before, but really these are what you would actually call side quests. Like saving somebody's child from a monster, or getting a man out of the jail, or finding a unicorn that tests virginity? Yeah. The game has a bit of an issue here that I find. I mean, it's all made out like a detective, but really pretty much from the start you know what's going on, because game starts with Guardian taunting you, and he is fully voiced and it's really cool to hear the villain, but I mean, come on, leave us to investigate. I do enjoy a proactive villain, but I wish we had some sort of a mystery aspect about Guardian.
For I shall be your companion, your provider, and your master.
He kinda ruins his own plans by taunting you in this game. And of course, as usual, you get summoned to the Britannia via the Moon Gates. You start by investigating the murder of the local blacksmiths in the city of Trinzik. But again, it's so obvious that Fellowship did it. First I thought it was because I've already played this game before, but then I remembered first time I played this game, I immediately guessed it was Fellowship too. I suppose they're trying to divert it, implicating a man with a hook on his hand, pirate named Captain Hook, yes. So shortly said, I'm missing a mystery aspect of a mystery murder investigation story. But don't get me wrong, it's still an awesome game. And quite frankly, I prefer suspense over surprise. That's why I do not really mind spoilers. To me, it's not about the story itself, but the execution of the story that's important. And quite frankly, the execution of the story in this game is plainly and simply beautiful. And by the way, to make everything really easy, in Trinzik there is a secret room in the chimney of a blacksmith shop, which actually leads you to this room where you have a bunch of armor, a bunch of weaponry, quest critical items, and teleporters which can lead you into any quest location you want to. Although you need to kind of build your own ladders for this. Yeah, there are a lot of Easter eggs like this in this game. For example, in the field of a farmer you will find a Kilrassi starship. And yeah, it's a reference to Winged Commander series. And a real life one as well, which is kinda cruel if you think about it. Which is to drop a golden plaque on Lord British's head and kill him. Which is a real life reference to Richard Garriott having a magnet dropped on his head. He needed 17 stitches after this incident. And yeah, his friends thought it was funny and they put it in the game. Mr. Garriott, you need new friends. You can also kill Lord British with a black sword, and you actually get this interesting scene. Combat in this game is okay, I guess, but I wish I had more control over my party members. Honestly, I much prefer Ultima 6 combat system. Magic, on the other hand, rocks. And quite frankly, it's pretty much the same as Ultima 6 magic system, only this time around you get more spells. And you also get this Armageddon spell, which kills everything and wipes everybody out, which makes game unfinishable. Of course, you will get some of your old companions back. You get 9 companions total in this game. Speaking of old friends, Chuckles the Clown also appears. You get to play a game with him, which gives you a hint if you will win it. And of course, Chuckles is not the only old friend you meet in Lord British's castle. You also meet Sherry the talking mouse. She works in the nursery of Lord British's castle. Speaking of talking animals, you meet Smith the talking horse in Yolo's hut. And yes, he gives you hints about Ultima 6 and Martian Dreams. What would I do without this horse? And there is of course a new talking animal in the game, Frank the fox, who will enjoy insulting some of your companions. I mean, he roasts them viciously, really. Anyways, you don't really need the secret room in here because game's not really that hard. Especially if you will finish the expansion, which is Forge of Virtue. You see, the island rises from the sea, which are Isles of Fire. Within it is Dark Core of Exodus. Yes, Exodus is back, sorta. So what you need to do is send him to the void, and that's how you get rid of him. But first, of course, you need to pass tests of truth, love and courage, which seriously raise up your stats. And quite frankly and honestly, I really enjoy these tests. Especially Test of Love is really fun and really interesting. There are 2 golem brothers, and one of them even rips his own heart out to save his brother. It's a very touching scene, and I really enjoyed this mission. But anyways, after you pass through Test of Courage, you will get to craft a new sword for yourself, which is a black sword. And you need to put Demon Arcadian into a black sword, and now you can kill anything you want with this sword. Well, there are a couple of people you cannot kill, but it's still awesome that the game allows you to do that. So, as I said, game is walk in a park. Anyways, after you pass the 3 tests, you can send Dark Core of Exodus into the void, come back to Lord British, and he even doubles all of your stats again, and you're pretty much undefeatable at this point. Although there are some issues I faced was the glitches, so be careful. One more thing is, Avatar is required to join Fellowship. And again, I don't know why, it's so obvious that Butlin is the villain. He even tries to kill you by sending you to a dragon-filled dungeons. I mean, you go in there and Guardian even tells you don't go in there, it's a trap.
It is a trap!
I don't know, is Avatar just stupid? I think when it comes to this game, most people have most of their fun in the Island of Buccaneers Dead. You see, there are some casino games in here, and even a brothel. But to me the most fun part of this game was Island of Skara Brae. You go there to find out answers to life and death. Ghost named Tortured One knows this, but he will not tell you until you free all of the tortured souls in Skara Brae. I love this story and its themes of truth, love and courage throughout this. You free the Lich to discover it's Horens, the mage of Skara Brae. He was corrupted, but you will manage to reveal the truth and free him. There is a beautiful love story between village blacksmith and his wife, and after finding out how to free souls, mayor of the city, after hesitation but nonetheless, jumps into the well of souls to free everybody, sacrificing himself. And you even find out that Quentin's murderer, whose murder we have investigated in Ultima 6, got what was coming to him. He was beheaded, hence the justice was served. This is probably the best answer to Butlin's critique that 8 virtues are too hard to follow. In fact, people throughout Britannia follow it daily in their actions, and Avatar, champion of the virtues, proudly guides people throughout Britannia. Well, in short, Avatar finds out that one that summoned him is the Time Lord. He tells you to destroy generators that Guardians set up to corrupt Britannia and drove all the mages mad. Generators are simple. First one is defended by a strong monster, but it's easily killed, especially if you have a black sword. Second one requires to teleport through the correct doors. And final one is a bit of a hard one. It's a puzzle, but it's solvable, it's nothing too bad. And when you get the final generator, you need to visit all the fellowship halls. Generator makes some of the fellowship members speak the truth. They will openly say that they have actually committed murders, which we kinda already knew. They point to pirate in Buccaneer's Den named Captain Hook. So you have final battle with villain Butlin, Hook, Forskiss, who is an assistant of Hook, Elizabeth and Abraham. Although Butlin manages to escape, and the battle is not that hard. And finally you need to use 3 pieces of the generators and Radium's wand to destroy the Black Gate and thwart Guardian's plan, who is really angry when you do this.
No, you cannot do that! You must not! Damn you, Avatar! Damn you!
I love the Black Gate. It's a really cool game. And I love the idea of a trilogy or a saga of Guardian in general. I'm gonna say it's a great first entry of this trilogy. Well, I would say let's see where the trilogy leads us, but we'll have to take a detour. If you like my video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you very much.